to go delete my comments.
That's why they might have been going on.
They was
Oh,
roasting me.
my
I'm like,
God.
damn. First of all, I don't live my
careful.
life like that. Let me just be clear. Like, I've always been the breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I said that
I like to be able to
times.
leave when I want to leave. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and that's not the right way to be in a relationship, especially when you. I am attracted to alpha males, but alpha males, they're attracted to me initially physically, but once they figure out like we're both like this.
Translation: I've been raised to be a soldier in the gender war. I want to be in combat with a man because I don't trust him to lead. That's essentially what she's saying. Welcome back to Money, Marriage, and Media. I purposely date men that make less than me for this one reason. And we're back with Daily Wrap-Up Crew. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and say that usually when this happens, it's when women take this dating strategy, it's usually a woman who is looking for control. She sees that income or finances is a way of getting power in the relationship, right? Now, if you're with a man who tends to lead with his wallet, then yeah. However, if you're with a man who leads with character, with the dime, self-discipline, integrity, morals, and ethics, then that man is going to look at you and say, okay, well, I don't care how much money you make. You know, I'm still the head of the household. And yeah, and it's not based on how much money I make. Usually what happens in those situations is those two people clash. And then that's when you start getting the shame and the insults about, well, he don't make no money and all this other stuff. But realistically, that guy's making the same amount that he was making when you got together, I would assume. If not, then you may have a valid argument. The point is that neither side is wrong. Okay. The women who use that dating strategy, they usually have a specific type of guy. Like I said, they're looking to be the breadwinners. They're looking to be the head of the household. Now, you know what? I may have to retract that statement because I just thought of a situation where that may not be the case. But usually no, it is the case. Because if you purposely are dating men who make less than you, then yeah, because that means you're looking for something specific. So I could be wrong though. Like I said, I'm just an average guy. I'm just an average husband and father. So what do I know, right?
You got a lot to say about this because you was under the comments.
They roasted me roasted me when I
what they was saying.
They was going in on me. I'm like, damn, all I did was explain, what she said is that I understand her. You understand? Like, when you try to do it the right way and you keep getting like that wall, like I've paid dudes rent before. You understand? Like I paid dudes rent before and he still cheated on me and had a baby. So
don't do that.
I felt her in that post. So I was like, listen, I'm dating for money too.
But do you think that's a justification? Because my thing could be, I've done things for women and...
Yeah, don't ever pay a guy's rent. And if y'all not married, that's a no-no. Because men should be stable before they start dating. That's and now if is there an exception to that? I would say no. Because even when you're young, let's say, both of you guys are 22 or 23, you're in college, even in those situations, the guy should be going to his family if he's having financial troubles, not the woman he's courting for marriage. There's no way. No. Yeah. So no, don't do that. And if you're not married, that's a waste of your resources. What you should do is give that man some time. He may need to go and he may need to drop off the grid for a minute while he goes and finds another source of income. He might have to pick up a second job, which means that you guys are probably not going to go on any dates for a long time. That's fine, but there's no way you should be, while you're dating, you should be paying any of his bills because he's supposed to be stable. Guys, I would say the same thing about the woman too. You shouldn't be paying her bills. She's supposed to be stable. If she's not, then you need to back off and go. You might need to go see somebody else, or try and give her some time to figure something out. But I would not pay anyone else's bills, not if we're dating. We're married, that's different. But
women kind of violated me in that sense. I could use that same excuse, like, damn, when I was in my 20s, women was violating me. Now I'm only using women for their pussy and what I could get from them, right?
Ooh.
So would that be equivalent? Would you judge me if I be like, you know
There's some
what?
truth in that.
I don't date for love. I date to fuck these bitches. Like, would you look at me the same way? Or you be like, I understand. Would you tell me I understand where he's coming from because he tried it the right way and these women did him wrong? Would you say that same thing?
Yes, I got brothers. I'd be like, you know what? Fuck these bitches.
Wow.
I would.
right.
I'm not biased. I'm not biased. I feel like people's experiences reflect how they are. So her experiences reflected how she is today. And she didn't say like she only messes with dudes with money or whatever. She said now she makes sure they got something to offer her before she, be giving her all to the situation.
She also said that she wants a man with money because she want to be able to save her money while he spends all of his money, so that if the relationship does fail, that she has an out because she saved all her money and she didn't have to spend anything.
Oh, no,
I don't agree with that.
And that's old school
I don't
as
agree
hell.
with that.
That's different.
That's
That
old
is-
school as hell.
No, it's
Yes.
not. No, it's not.
A lot of aunties and mothers live that.
This is a misnomer. This is bad information from I don't know where this stuff came from, because again, I'm a little older than probably everybody on this panel. I'm in my 40s. My mom and dad's generation, they didn't behave like that. Because again, and especially in our community, in the black community, both parties worked. And my parents had the one pot. They put everything in one pot, and then that's what the bills get paid. I'm still trying to figure out what this notion is where the guy pays for everything and the woman's able to save her money and just do whatever. That's a bad deal for the guy. Because what happens if he can't, if he gets sick or he gets injured and he can't work? Well, the woman's SOL, But I think that, you eliminate a lot of these problems when two people get married, because now we're tied to each other and we're supposed to be on one plan that we're working in cooperation with. Not, well, we can just live off my income and you can just save your money and do whatever. No. Marriage means that we combine everything. We combine lifestyles. That means income too. So now it is as head of the household, whoever that is, because if some of y'all ladies out there, y'all want to be head of the household, and more power to you. I hope you find a guy that's willing to, that you can work out some kind of a relationship with. But most women want the man to be the head of the household. Okay, then that means that man is responsible for coming up with the financial game plan. Now, you still have to agree to it, because you don't agree to it, then that's fine. Then he needs to rework it to where both of you guys are in agreement with it. All right, or y'all come up with the plan together. But the point is that we have to agree on these things. Now, because the reason I say that is because if the guy agrees to the situation that they're talking about, then go ahead and y'all do what y'all do. I'm not gonna knock anybody's marriage if it's working, but most guys are not going to agree to that scenario, especially today. And I don't know men who were agreeing to it before. So again, this notion that, the men worked and the women stayed home and did nothing. They were housewives. No, rich women were housewives, which is a small percentage. Most people can't afford that. Most people have needed two incomes for the past 50 years, 50 plus years. Because think about it, even if we go back to the 40s and the 30s, right, there were still jobs that were feminine in nature, that they were only done by women. The majority of teachers have always been women, or for as long as we can remember, right? It's the same thing with nurses, waitresses, secretaries. Like, these jobs are now just becoming available to men as possible jobs, but there's still they're still overwhelmingly female dominated. It's like all of a sudden, no, nurses have never been a thing. We've never been in need of nurses. We've always had enough men to do that. What? Let's go.
Same way. They shacked up with their man, and when it didn't work out, they had their money and they bounced. and that's an old school way of living.
They were
she
also
probably,
housewives, though, right?
Yeah, they were
At the-
housewives.
yeah.
They didn't go nowhere. They stacked up everything they had. They had their little canister with their money in it. And when it was time to bounce or he was doing too much, they bounced. So I feel like that's super old school. Like I'm not judging her for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we can't keep no stash of pussy in the corner, like, like
You better use it while you got it. Use it up, boy.
I just don't like sometimes how it's worded, because again, we can keep justifying everybody's, everybody goes through bad experiences. I know women like always say that, obviously y'all have your experiences, but there's a lot of men who also have their experiences with women. And I wouldn't sit here and justify, like, Jew said some shit like, yo, these women out here played me. Now I'm only using them. I would never look at him like, damn, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. Use these. Like, I personally wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So when I hear women, and there was a lot of women under the comments, and it wasn't like, I understand dating for stability, right? That's understandable.
I was just about to say that.
That's understandable. But when you feel like I'm just using a man for his resources to get what I could get out of him.
Leading with that?
Like, you know what I mean? Then I think that's where it's a little bit misleading. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because as a man, I wouldn't want to, I want to take care of my woman, but I would never want her to look at me like a come up, or that she get to save all her money while I'm working 80 hours a week to provide for her or provide this lifestyle for her, and I don't get nothing out of it besides maybe some sex every once in a while when she feel like it or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't want to feel like
I think
I'm
that
being
man
used.
is also looking at her as an object as well at that point. Once you start off by saying, well, I'm only interested in what you can give me, then I'm
Well,
going to be
think they
looking at
leading
you.
with that?
She sounded like she was leading that
Who?
young, not you, the young
I'm
lady.
about to say-
No. So, I'm sorry, my head.
But we
she was
also
sitting there.
didn't see the whole thing. I feel like we only got like a snippet of the interview where she was like really like going in.
Yeah, but we was on the show. Like, we know exactly what she was
Yeah, we
doing.
know
Oh,
where she
okay.
came from.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
We understood where she was. Well, we didn't understand, but we heard in full what she was saying.
She also
And-
said another man, if he had more money, she'd be willing to jump ship.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
See,
what
I
I
don't-
I
know
don't agree.
about
I
that.
disagree with
No.
if that's what she was promoting up here. I disagree with it.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, I feel like a woman should definitely. I don't think there's nothing wrong with a woman dating a man that can provide stability. I think that's important, right? But like you said, if that's the base, if money is the basis of the relationship, then that's when things go left. So I think it needs to be something more than just money that's that's the glue for the relationship.
Yeah.
Are we not holding ourselves accountable as well for our poor selection? Whether it's your brother who picked the bad woman that was using him, or when you felt like that, or if a man had you pay his rent and he used you, are we not holding ourselves accountable for those poor selections? Yes, you led with your heart, but it's still a poor selection at the end of the day.
yes, but you got to understand that human beings, they pretend.
Gentlemen, I told you what you need to start asking when you hear these sob stories. Okay, we're not saying that anybody's right or wrong. The question still stands. Okay, who vetted that man for you? Because that's who we need to go and talk to. Who is your protector in this situation? Because your protector, most of the time, the patriarch in your family should be watching out and helping you root out these bad guys. So we need to go talk to that man and find out why he dropped the ball. Because and gentlemen, we don't ask this question to for the gotcha moment with the ladies. We're looking for potential red flags, because if she doesn't have anybody that's protecting her, then that means that, okay, well, who are you used to seeing as a leader in your family then? If you don't have anybody like that, then how are you expected? How can I expect you to follow my lead then? Because you don't know how to work with a man. You have no history of it. You didn't grow up in a household where that was present, or you didn't grow up in a family where that's present. See, that's the real thing that you should be looking for. There is, what history do they have with working in cooperation with a man? Again, it's one of the broken social constructs that I always talk about, is the fact that we need to do a better job of raising our kids to work in cooperation with one another, instead of raising them to be soldiers in the gender war. Let's go.
You don't never get the full person when you first meet them.
It's-
So you never know who you're getting. The person can pretend to be this amazing person.
That's true.
And then it doesn't turn out like that, and that's what like. That's what I got from what she experienced. Like,
Another example. So, so when you did something nice for him, did he ever fuck up before? And was it patterns of the same shit? Because it's
I
like,
didn't know nothing was wrong. I was in a happy relationship. What you mean? Until he sat me
So-
down and told me he got somebody pregnant.
Oh, okay, so I understand
Yeah,
that.
and
That's
I'm like,
different.
hold on, buddy.
No, because people have
Where they
patterns
gonna
of
stay
doing.
at?
People have patterns of doing the same fucked up shit. I was one example of that. Like I would cheat all the time and not give a fuck, and I felt more comfortable doing that because I felt like the women in my life accepted it. So I didn't have to. You accepted me from my flaws, so it's like,
Why do I gotta change?
yeah, why I gotta
Yeah,
change?
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? So at that point, when you see these patterns, I feel like people need to cut people off rather than justifying it. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's like, I understand
It's
if that happened to
hard.
you one time, like there was a fuck boy that you dealt with, or he did you wrong. That happens one time, but when y'all keep constantly saying like, this is my 18th relationship, and it almost like y'all go for a certain pattern. Like we was up here with Chinese Kitty, shout out to Chinese Kitty, and her and her friend kept justifying toxic niggas. Basically, they kept giving them like, you know what I mean. So it's like y'all know that these men ain't shit, but you deep down in your heart you want to prove to yourself, or you want him to change for you. And instead of you just being like, you know what, let me hold myself accountable for the type of men that I keep choosing over and over again. Like, you know what I mean? So I think sometimes men and women tend to do that. Like we keep choosing the wrong, wrong person, or maybe you looking at the wrong characteristics. Obviously, if we just looking for somebody with money, and sometimes when I feel like when they lead with that, when we ask women what they want in men, it's usually the first thing they always say is finances. Like, I need a man that's gonna make a certain amount of money, this, that, and the third. They don't get to other characteristics of how a man should treat them until like after they get past the money, the height, he gotta have his business, he gotta have this, that. Then they get to, he gotta be like loyalty. Don't even get you don't even get to loyalty until like 8, 9 on the list. Like, you get what I'm saying? So there's things I feel like men and women.
He just said he was cheating several times. Maybe that's why we don't put loyalty up there, because
we know it's
we
unrealistic.
we feel like
No, that's not true. The reason why the other characteristics come first is because you got to remember, women are looking for a reason to disqualify men. Okay, so if they're saying, because the other was two things going on here, right? The first thing is they are looking for a reason to disqualify men. So a lot of times that's why they throw out these random numbers for income, even though that most women don't know numbers like that. Because we see on YouTube all the time they talk about this $100,000. But if you ask most women what kind of jobs pay that amount of money, most of them are drawing a blank. They don't know, right? And even we won't get into like the regional aspect of where where you live at and everything else. The point is that they often use that as a form of to disqualify you, right? Because they don't want to waste time trying to figure it out. And keep in mind that usually women don't start to talk like that until they get close to 30. And supposedly it's because, I'm more mature now and I know what I want. Maybe. Because again, who's vetting these guys for you? Like if there was somebody, if the father was doing his role, right, as a dad in the woman's early 20s when she supposedly had all these bad relationship experiences and he was able to keep those guys away, what would her opinion be by the time she got 25, 26? You think she'd still be focused on, he got to make a certain amount of money? I mean, because men, we judge off, when we're looking for potential mates for our daughters, finances come into a factor, but character is high on the list. Because at the end of the day, the wise man once said, "This America, Jack, I don't care how much money you got. You still screw things up with my daughter, I'm going to break my foot off in your royal..." Shout out to Coming to America. It's a great line from that movie.
Also would understand when I was in a relationship with a woman that challenged me for cheating. I understood that I had to respect that.
Did you stop?
Yeah, of course I stopped.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? I'm just saying at a point in my life, I didn't give a fuck.
Okay.
You get it? Because women would just accept men cheat. Okay, well, let me cheat. You get what I'm saying? But once I felt like I found the right one, I didn't feel the urge as much.
Okay, so my question is, so you cheated. Your partner didn't tell you to stop? Like, while you were in that spree of just cheating, like, you weren't told, like, I don't like this by your woman?
I don't know. Not really.
No.
Because I was more, like, open about, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be seeing other
Oh,
people.
that's what you came in with. That's what you came in with. You came in with, I'm a cheater.
No, I didn't come in with that.
So how you came?
being honest.
Okay.
Because honestly, I don't feel like it's cheating if you're being open and telling the person what you're doing. It's cheating when you're not, when you're doing it behind their back.
Break this down. Like, you be with them, but like, yo, I'm about to go cheat on you. Like
no, I'm saying
that's
like,
what I'm trying to figure out.
if I say, hey, I'm speaking to other people, I'm doing my thing. I don't find that cheating.
Do you actually say that?
Yeah.
What would the response be like?
They don't want that to happen.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
No, but what do they say to you? Like, if you
that?
say, hey, babe, I'm about to go.
I don't say, hey, I'm going to do it today or tomorrow.
Oh,
like, I'm not putting schedules out, but I'm saying I'm free on the market.
But then how like deep into the relationship are you saying this as well, right? Like,
I'm saying it from when I meet a person. So if
from the beginning.
But I'm saying if you talking to me, but if you start to catch feelings
until there's any
that's on me.
Conversation of exclusivity, like now I'm like with you only, then it's gonna be just this is the same lifestyle I was living up until the point that you put those boundaries up.
But then with you know, sometimes women will know that a man like you was previously. They know the type of caliber man that he is. Like, you know, that kind of would draw them to him. Like, in the first place, they knew he had all the...
Yeah, basically, he's dealing with a lot of situationships. They're not relationships, and he's not looking for a relationship. But usually what happens in those situations, somebody catches feelings. And what he was saying is he was avoiding the feelings altogether, so he's just looking for sex. Well, I mean... As a father, I'm trying to keep like men like that away from my daughters. You men should be out there doing the same, because essentially what he's saying is he's an F boy. Can't build a community with F boys in it. It's not gonna happen, because they're not looking for relationships. They're just looking for orgasms. You can't build off that. So let's keep going.
Bitches, they knew the bitches was on his body. They knew that going in. But they felt like, you know what, I'm different. He gonna change for me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Also had women buying me stuff to be better than the other women.
Ooh, is that a jab? Hold on.
No, not to you.
You felt that one in your spirit.
I'm sorry. No, but it's true. Like,
so they was in a competition. The women was just competing. Like, they
never seen the other person. I could have been lying, but you know, who knows? Yeah. And it's sad. And I try to tell women all the time, don't date a nigga like how I used to be. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, I'm not proud of the person I was. It was an experience in my life that I didn't know better than. You get what I'm saying? So I'm happy I changed.
Shout out to him.
I also didn't know better,
I respect
because
that.
I probably would have dealt with a dude like that and expect you to change and want you to, and you know, like you said, bribe you to change or whatever. But now that we're grown, like, I would never. If you came to me like that, I have one of two things that I could do, right? Like, I could rock with it, and like you said, it's not serious, right?
Right.
Or I could just dismiss it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think should be done.
Yeah.
Like, more. Women should not deal with it from jump.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to go back to the previous thing about should women, you know, be shamed for dating men, you know, for money over love, I don't think, like I said, I think using a man for his resources, I think that's what I have an issue with. But women that want stability and hopes to build a family or marriage, then that's very much understandable.
Yeah.
But again, when you just want to exhaust a man for all his resources, just because in case he cheat on me, I got a Louis bag or I got a vacation, then that's when I feel like, all right, well, you know, because I look at it like,
I'm leaving here with some.
This could be me. Like, I would never want to meet a woman who would. This is why I don't even leave with money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I would never want a woman to look at me like, and then even she said, yeah, but next nigga got more money, you know. So this relationship is transactional. Depending on my money go up or down, is how long you gonna stay.
She
like,
said,
you know
don't let another nigga bag be bigger
like,
than
you know
yours.
what I'm saying?
That's exactly what it was.
Oh man, I gotta go delete my comments.
That's why they might have been going on.
They was roasting me. I'm
God.
like, damn. First of all, I don't live my
careful.
life like that. Let me just be clear. Like, I've always been the breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I said that
I like to be able to
times.
leave when I want to leave. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and that's not the right way to be in a relationship, especially when I am attracted
Accountability.
to alpha males, but alpha males, they're attracted to me initially physically, but once they figure out like we're both like this.
Translation: I've been raised to be a soldier in the gender war. I want to be in combat with a man because I don't trust him to lead. That's essentially what she's saying. And again, you run up against men. I don't call them alpha men. I just say, is they a good? Are they a good leader? At a certain point, you can't. If no one is willing to follow you, then you're not a leader. That's the unfortunate truth. So a lot of great guys out here that could be great leaders, but because there's no family behind them, we'll never know. But this is clearly, I don't trust men to lead. Now, where do you get that from? Because it takes years to build up that philosophy and base your life around it. You got it from more than likely, you get it from your parents. How much you want to bet? She's raised by a single mom.
They're like, oh, no, we can't do this.
Would you consider yourself an alpha woman?
Absolutely.
And again,
I hate that term, alpha female. That is the dumbest thing ever. Well, our definition for that. Because let's break this down here for a second. Because I gotta say this, right? Alpha female. Okay, alpha is supposed to be the highest, right? Female. Okay, the word female should be synonymous with feminine. Highest femininity. That's what it's supposed to mean. But we could just, so for whatever reason, we like to use this definition that's really what it is that describes a masculine woman. Okay, being an alpha has nothing to do. It's a classification. It's not a description it's not a personality description. It's a classification. Alpha is a category, but it has nothing to do with. It's a description of people in a hierarchy, male hierarchy, female hierarchy. The alpha is supposed to be the top position, but again, in the female hierarchy, what are women valued for? Not masculinity. That's why that whole thing doesn't make sense. Words have meaning. And that's supposed to be important. I don't know where we get this definition from. It's the alpha female. Oh, yeah, well, she's a good leader. That's not what that means. She can be a good leader of women because women have different standards. But to say that you're just a masculine woman. We got to start calling it out like that. When women say they're alpha female, no, you're not an alpha female. You're a masculine woman.
Made this example before. I don't think two alphas can coexist in a relationship.
They can't.
You know what I mean? 'Cause I feel like both of them are competing for dominance over the other. Like you're so dominant in your work life that you feel like it's hard for you to submit to a man, even if he's making more than you. Just feel like I am still dominant in my own right. So there might be a always headbutting. This is why men usually go for women that's much more submissive, not because they want to take advantage of them or whatever the case is, but it just naturally. Like blends together, like you know what I mean, with the alpha and the beta, if you want to call it. Like those combinations tend to work more in successful relationships than two alphas.
Because remember I was trying to define it earlier. So alpha women are not submissive.
No, we are
we
submissive.
Can be.
Yes,
because he said okay.
We can be. But you have to be you can't be here. You have to be here to get us to submit. We have to be able to know that. You got our back. Like we can fall and we can relax and be a woman. Like I don't want to be an alpha female. I don't want to be tough. I see the girls with the handbags and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh damn, you think? I don't want to buy my own clothes and shoes and stuff all the time. But that's
at the same time, you don't want to listen to what a man got to say.
Exactly,
as well.
and I don't want nobody using me as a cum rag anytime they want to, because that's what those girls go through
crazy.
Too.
I just feel like as alpha women, I feel like we also just tend to fall for the same people.
Every time they say that, it's just cringy.
Over and over and over again.
Ugh.
Like, why is it that you are allowing me to control you as well? Like, I start to look at that too. You're allowing me to tell you that.
So then you're basically saying that you're the one that's ruining the relationship by you trying to be the alpha.
Naturally, this happens.
But there's nothing wrong with
no,
that.
it doesn't. It's not natural.
That, but I just feel like if you see that I'm an alpha woman, step your shit up.
But it is because you don't know how to relate to an average guy that you may not find alpha. He might be a good man with great qualities for a successful relationship, but you're so alpha that you can't understand how to make the relationship work.
But if he's doing what he's supposed to do, I'm pretty sure that submissiveness is gonna kick in.
It's gonna
kick in naturally,
Sure it will.
and we can't do that all the time.
And I also find that, but that's to your standards, right? Which it should be, as some, and relationships are transactional. We all want something to give something or get something back from the person. But if your mind is, let's say you have a higher educational level, right? You're already looking at him, he got a high school diploma. If you're looking at him like, well, he's a dumb motherfucker, it's not going to really kind of change because that's your mindset. Where men, we could, and I'm not saying all women are like this, but when men, whether we have a higher education or we're earning more, we're more understanding to that kind of situation.
And then they can't even tell you nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, motherfucker telling you about cars, you feel like because you got to educate. It don't even got your education don't got nothing to do with cars, but you feel like you know more than him because you feel like you have a higher education. Not all women, obviously, but there's some women who just feel like because they have the education.
I definitely don't believe that because I feel like it's really I just listen to how you speak, and that's how I'm able to tell whether you're educated. So it's like I don't really look too much at the paper, the physical, because there's a lot of people with diplomas that aren't educated still. Right. So.
But that still doesn't, I think, grant you to belittle your man. You get what I'm saying? Or a man to belittle his woman. You get what I'm saying? Because you accepted them to build this relationship. That shit is cut, finito. Because you decided to have a relationship with this person.
Yeah. But a lot of men get offended when you correct them, like on how they talk.
In which way?
Literally, like, you could be so nice and gentle with them, and if they feel like you up here, they tend to not fuck with that shit either. And they treat you a certain way too.
Some men be jealous of women.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
I got it.
Some men are jealous of women.
That could be possible, right? I'm not going to take that away from you. I think you usually, in my experience, women that are, in a certain tax bracket or have a certain educational level, it's just a certain unpleasantness about them. You know what I mean? Just as a person, like, you know what I mean? They always are combative. You know what I mean? There's certain qualities that they normally exhibit that men are just like, you know what? It's not because I'm jealous of you or it's just unpleasant. I don't want to be around that type of atmosphere. Like, you know what I mean? So, but again, there might be some men that are jealous or that are intimidated or sexist.
It's not even about intimidated. Nothing like that. I just feel like men in general don't give a fuck what you do. They don't care about your business. If they like you, they'll like you. If a man that's a millionaire could date a girl that works at Burger King, because
that's true.
It's how you make them feel. It's not about what you can give them. And for women, it's more like, what can you give me? What can you provide me? What kind of stability can you provide me with?
Right. So here's the thing. We got to stop using this. It sounds good. Millionaires dating a woman at McDonald's. No, he's not. No, he's not. Because he's got too much to lose. He doesn't. Does it happen? Yeah, but it's not the chances of that happening and working out, or you being more than just a sex toy for him. Come on. So I hate when they use this example. He will date them. But if most women want to be married, then why are we talking about dating? Something to think about, right? Because he's not going to marry that girl at McDonald's. That'd be career suicide for him. Unless she signs a prenup. But, I mean, even still, that works when you have rich men who are new money. I saw this from, who was this that talked about that? I think it was Destiny, another YouTuber, right? When you have men who are old money, they tend to stick with their own. Men who have a history of high status in their family, they tend to stick to their own and they date within their network, which is that's a great strategy for building and maintaining wealth over generations. This whole idea that you because you're a rich man, you got all these options, not necessarily, because when you bring somebody new around, you don't know what their intentions are, versus someone who is in your network, who is on the same level as you. They may not be on the same level money wise, but status wise, that's totally different.
So when a man sees an educated woman, or she just has this super high chip on her shoulder, he's like, you know what? I don't really want to deal with that, because I go get me a bitch from Burger King,
right,
without that education you got and without the attitude.
Also, too, they feel like they might not be able to contribute as much, right? Like if you got everything, and they need to, you know that they need to feel needed. So it's like I'm coming into it, and you already have everything. What can I possibly provide?
That's
what can
my
I
problem
provide
right
here?
now, girl. Don't even talk about
That's what's going on in your day.
Okay, so and well, hold on. Let's hear what this is.
I feel like guys, literally with my degree, I really get looked at that way too. Intimidation, all the way to its fullest. Like you.
Okay, so here's the thing: discovery trumps disclosure. See, if you're leading with that, and then then yeah, it's a turnoff for guys. But because it's a very masculine thing to do, I'm going to lead with my accomplishments, my accolades, instead of leading with femininity. You're going to lead with, if you're leading with femininity, then we're not here to talk about your masculine accomplishments. I went to this school, I got this degree, I have this job. Most men are wondering, after they get to know the basics about you, your name, your age, and you're single, and all this other stuff, right? Most of that first date stuff, they're looking to see if you can be an asset to what or men who are on their purpose, they're looking to see how if this woman can be an asset to me. And in most cases, your career or your education has very little value in that conversation, unless you're trying to be the breadwinner. Then it makes a whole lot of sense. But otherwise, it's like, okay, well, what can I do with that? That's great that you have a career, but how does that help me? Especially if I'm paying for all the dates. Doesn't do anything.
You went to school for 4 years. I don't know.
Personally, I would want an educated woman, but if you have to use your education in a way that's going to be productive to the relationship. So if you went to school for accounting and I'm trying to figure out how to start up a business, you can use your whatever education you had to benefit whatever startup I'm trying to do. I wouldn't be offended by you trying to help me with that. But if you're coming to me, oh yeah, you don't know nothing about money, like that's a different conversation.
I make more than you do, right?
It's a different conversation.
We had women, and this is why men don't really care about education, even though education is important. But if you're still educated, you have all this money, but you still expect a man to pay for everything. It's like, what is the purpose of your education if you're not gonna, I'm not saying contribute financially, but again, if I'm trying to build a family, right, and I'm trying to build generational wealth, then obviously inflation is at all time in this motherfucker. Like, this ain't our grandfather. The motherfuckers worked in a factory and was taking care of 8 fucking families. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, inflation is at an all-time high, so I need you to be able to contribute to our family.
Each other. That's
you know what I'm saying?
No, but you also, like you said, inflation. You also need me to contribute money. Like, I feel like living in New York, we need both people making money.
And even if, like I said, when we hear the term 50-50,
it's not just New York,
automatically thinks that we got to go half down the middle. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But again, if I'm working 80 hours a week and I'm doing all this money to pay for the bills, you can't realistically expect me to be saving up a significant amount of money for a rainy day as well, because I have to contribute so much. So maybe you might not have to pay the bills, but hey, you know what? Maybe put some of your check away for, in our savings. That way, in case something happens, I lose my job, we have something to fall back on. Like, you know what I mean?
That's how it should be. I feel like every relationship should be like that. Like about 2017, I was dating this guy, maybe 2016, and he was a super.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this one here because this conversation is getting long. But usually, what I recommend, because for those of you that don't know, previous career I was actually a licensed financial coach. Right, what I would usually recommend is that 100% of the breadwinner's income goes to bills and lifestyle. 50% of the second or the spouse's income goes to bills and lifestyle. The other 50% is used to, number one, clean up debt. Number two, get an emergency fund, right? Number three, set up retirement. Number four, pay for kids' college. And number five, vacations and anything else you want to do. The reason why all those things come before, like trips and other things like that, is because most of these things, once the debt is paid off and the emergency fund is set, most of the other two things are monthly payments anyway, right? So then everything else, after those things are taken care of, then you can start setting some money aside for, we want to take a trip next year, or we looking to to upgrade our house. We need to save up some more money for a down payment. That's where those things traditionally come from. That is a system that works, and it's not necessarily gender specific. Like I said, the marriage rates are too low in our community for us to be concerned about, well, who's the breadwinner? Because again, if a man is leading with the dime, self-discipline, integrity, morals, and ethics, most of the time women will value that over how much money a man makes. As long as he's stable, right? You got to have a job. I mean, you got to have a full-time job and be able to support yourself. But yeah, if he's leading with his wallet, then those things fall to the wayside. And guys, I would tell you to be careful about that, because the minute you don't have it, that woman is going to be looking to usurp your power, because it's based on finances, and you don't have it no more. It makes it seem like you don't know what you're doing. That's why I always suggest lead with the dime. But guys, this is a great conversation. Make sure you go check out Daily Wrap-Up Crew. They're definitely having some high-level conversations here, addressing issues that younger people are facing today. Not necessarily my age group, but again, if we're looking to lower the marrying age to around 25, which we should, that has several other benefits that I've covered in other videos, then this is that age group. This is who to get the age of the guests that they usually have. So we're definitely going to be back checking out more from Daily Wrap-Up Crew. But guys, until then, I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. High level conversation.